10 things iOS does better than Android. When it comes to the perennial debate between iOS and Android, both operating systems have their merits. However, Apple's iOS has distinct advantages that set it apart in various aspects. Let's delve into 10 things iOS does better than Android, showcasing Apple's strengths in user experience, security, and ecosystem integration. Before we get started, if you're new here, make sure to subscribe to my channel Digital Sweat TV and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our latest content. iOS is generally faster and smoother. Having used both platforms daily for years, I've encountered fewer hiccups and slowdowns using iOS. Performance is one of the things iOS usually does better than Android. This seems ridiculous, considering iPhone internals. The iPhone 15 Pro Max is currently the most powerful Apple smartphone, featuring the Apple A17 Pro SoC, the first chipset to use a 3 in a manufacturing process. This may sound impressive, but we tend to get a little lost to the specs and often forget to look at what matters. Performance doesn't only come from powerful specs. There is more to processing power than cores and speed clocks. There is proof that Apple processors are better than Qualcomm's. Whether Apple processors are better or not, what matters most is iOS is optimized to work perfectly with the few devices Apple makes. Meanwhile, Android is dropped into a sea of smartphones, tablets, and other products. It's up to OEMs to optimize the software for the hardware, and they sometimes do a poor job at it. Apple's closed ecosystem allows tighter integration, so iPhones don't need super powerful specs to match the high-end Android phones. It's all in the optimization between hardware and software. Since Apple controls production from beginning to end, it can ensure resources are used more efficiently. Furthermore, developers have to follow a stricter process to release apps. Not to mention, they don't have to optimize their apps for what may seem like an infinity of devices. This is not to say all iOS devices can outperform all Android devices. Some Android phones are made with beastly internals and stunning performance. Generally, though, iOS devices are faster and smoother than most Android phones at comparable price ranges. For example, an iPhone 14 can perform nearly as well as the newest high-end iPhone, starting at $699 MSRP. Even the budget iPhone Southeast is a great performer, costing only $429. iOS is super simple to use. Sometimes, what we love about Android makes it a less enticing platform to the general consumer. While Google and its partnered manufacturers have been improving at making Android more intuitive, especially after Android 12, it can still be confusing. Dealing with random icon placements, endless settings, and full customization isn't for everyone. Furthermore, inconsistency between phone makers creates a learning curve, as most Android phones look and feel different from one another. Timely updates. Updating software is one of the things iOS does better than Android. If your iOS device qualifies to get the latest update, it will get it as soon as it launches. This can be bad news for older devices that can't handle more resource-intensive iOS versions very well. That is another topic and something to worry about only if you have a significantly older Apple device. The Apple ecosystem. This one is more of a tie because Google has improved integrating its services across devices in the past few years. Regardless, Apple products like iPhones, iPads, Apple TVs, Apple Watches, and Mac computers are tightly integrated with iCloud, iMessage, FaceTime, and other in-house services. While Google has its competing services, which work great too, they have a learning curve and don't feel as intuitively connected. Security for now. Thanks to Google's security updates becoming more consistent, this topic isn't as one-sided as it once was. Google has continued to secure the Google Play Store and add measures to ensure your phones and information stay safe. These include sandboxing, two-step verification, Google Play Protect, further controlled app permissions, and more. These upgrades and more educated users make for robust Android security that begins to rival iOS. Apple CarPlay. No matter how often I give Android Auto a chance, I keep returning to Apple CarPlay. Sometimes I carry an iPhone just to use CarPlay. Apple's alternative has neatly arranged icons. You can move these icons around to prioritize your favorite apps for easy access. Sounds familiar? Yep, it works much like iOS on a phone or tablet. Some things have been moved around, but the experience is much more uniform. Google Assistant does a much better job than Siri, but that feature does not draw me away from Apple's in-vehicle solution. Apple Carplay is better looking, simpler to use, and more functional. Superior support. Apple leads the way in tech customer support. AppleCare may be expensive, but claims for iOS devices are an absolute breeze. If you got a local Apple store, you can often walk out with a brand new device in less than an hour. Speaking of Apple stores, love or hate them, Apple's retail locations have a signature look that many retailers have tried to copy. The open plan design draws you in as soon as you walk by. Many staff are on hand to help you with any purchase or problem. They even have free classes to teach you how to use Apple devices. Resale value. Affordability is not precisely one of the things iOS does better than Android, but Apple has a market advantage over most of its mobile competitors. iPhones, iPads, and other Apple products typically hold their value much better than Android products. This means you can sell your used Apple device for more when it's time to switch devices. And because Apple products are so popular, they usually sell much faster. iPhones, iPads, and other Apple products typically hold their value better than Android products. Let's put things into perspective with some real-world examples. The iPhone 11 Pro Max launched in September 2019 for $1,099. It's selling for about $330 to $450 in good condition now. That would be about 30% to 41% of its original value. The Samsung Galaxy Note 10 Plus launched in August 2019, also for $1,099. It sells for around $180 to $270 on eBay. This equates to about 16% to 25% of the original value. Big difference, right? Keep in mind this example is a best-case scenario for Android. Samsung is another brand that keeps its value better than others in its class. The resale value favors Apple far more compared to other smaller Android manufacturers. Apple AirTags. Another thing iOS manages better than Android is Bluetooth trackers. These little gadgets can track and locate items. We've seen Samsung, Tile, and other companies release very similar Bluetooth trackers, and you can even argue they can be better in some ways, but Apple has something no competitor can match. Apple's network of devices has much more coverage wherever you go. Contactless payments. Google Pay works well, but the app is much more convoluted and often not even pre-installed on Android phones. The service has taken a backseat and is no longer getting much attention, even from Google. Regardless, all contactless payment services work well, but Apple Pay seems to be the most polished option out there. It works seamlessly across Apple-made smartphones, tablets, and even smartwatches. Apple Pay is also more supported by banks and credit card companies out there, especially the smaller ones, which are the ones that usually skip Google Pay and other solutions. It's also accepted by over 85% of retailers in the USA. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to Digital Sweat TV for more content. Hit the notification bell to stay updated with our latest videos. Share your thoughts in the comments below. We love hearing from you. Thank you for watching.